number 2 role still up for grabs? Are you guys still competing for that number 2 role?
Number 2 role?
Like number 2 string quarterback.
The back.
Oh,
Yeah.
honestly, bro, I really don't look into that. I don't care. Whenever it's time for me to get out there and play, I'm going to play. Adversity, things is going to knock you down sometimes, but the main thing about it is you just got to push through it. There's a lot of people in this world that's going through stuff, but, you know, I'm playing for a lot more than just me.
Yes.
And will he kind of be the backup?
Joe will start the game. Dylan will play second. SHEDUER will play third.
SHEDUER Sanders is done with the chatter. After head coach Kevin Stefanski slotted him as the 3rd-string quarterback behind Dylan Gabriel, he didn't blink. No panic, no backpedaling, just steady confidence. He made it clear he won't get caught up in labels or outside noise. Say what you want, but when the stage is brightest, he intends to be brighter. Sanders isn't wasting energy on distractions. He's locked in, focused, and ready to let his play speak for itself the moment he steps on the field.
Whenever it's time for me to get out there and play, I'm going to play. Whenever it's time for the lights to come on, I'm going to do my thing. I'm not concerned about when it is. I'm not concerned about, you know, how many reps I'm getting at this point is what it is. Because I know when the lights come on, when everything going, when the pressure's on, you know who I am.
SHEDUER Sanders isn't losing sleep over Kevin Stefanski's depth chart or the situation around it. He's certain that when his number is called, the film will force a second look at every assumption. Practice rotations and outside noise aren't his focus. He trusts his preparation and what he brings to the position. The equation is simple. When the pressure is real and the lights are hot, he'll answer it and quiet the doubts. He's not chasing validation anywhere else. The field is where he'll do his talking. This isn't just a solo climb for him either. He views his supporters as part of the mission, not spectators on the sideline. He's navigated stretches like this before and found a way through, and that same mindset drives him now. Every window that opens, he plans to seize. The message doesn't change. The work never stopped, the standard hasn't moved, and he's ready to prove it again the moment opportunity meets preparation.
The main thing about it is you just got to push through it. There's a lot of people in this world that's going through stuff, but, you know, I'm playing for a lot more than just me, you know, so regardless of pain, that's always how I've been, even in college, you know, so in high school and everything from when I was young, regardless of like physically, you know, if I don't feel my best, I still gotta go out there and execute with no excuses.
Since landing in Cleveland, SHEDUER Sanders says his perspective has shifted. Simply lacing up for practice each day feels like a gift he used to imagine, not live. He's embracing patience, fully prepared to wait his turn, and when that window opens, he intends to sprint through it. Until then, the plan is simple. Stack work, refine the details, and be over-prepared when the call comes. To critics, he doesn't frame this chapter as a setback at all. It's the runway. This is time to tighten footwork, sharpen reads, and stay mentally locked in for what's next. He's clear that when the moment arrives, he'll put the whole toolkit on display and let the tape answer the questions. The focus hasn't wavered, the workload hasn't eased, and the standard hasn't moved. When opportunity meets preparation, he intends to show exactly who he is and what he can do.
I would say I learn life in a different perspective, you know, and that's why I come here. I'm happy. I always got good energy because, you know, I'm blessed to come out here.
And he's backing it up. In his latest practice, SHEDUER Sanders showed exactly what cooking looks like. He came out a touch sluggish while shaking off the last of the injury effects, then locked into rhythm. By the end, one throw stole the entire session, an eye-catching rip that reminded everyone he's trending back to full form. That single play said more than a soundbite ever could. It wasn't just 6 points. It was a snapshot of poise, placement, and field vision. The way he worked through the look, trusted his mechanics, and delivered on time matched the confidence he's been voicing. It was the kind of ball that makes coaches pause, teammates lean in, and critics pump the brakes. Sanders addressed Dylan Gabriel's recent comments with calm and maturity. Even after Gabriel clarified they weren't aimed directly at him, SHEDUER said he didn't spend a second dwelling on it. He believes God gives him the steadiness to stay grounded and avoid reacting to every headline. The noise is irrelevant. his focus stays the same. Whatever's said, so be it. Still, his posture told you he understood the subtext. He carried himself like someone who knew the message had him in mind, and he turned it into quiet fuel. The composure wasn't about pretending nothing happened. It was about showing he's bigger than the back and forth. He knows the real answer won't come from a podium. It'll come when he steps between the lines and lets the tape speak.
Honestly, I don't even think about nothing. I don't think about anything. If it's not words or anything, at this point, it can't do anything to me. I know, the God put the ability and the power within me to not even think about nobody else's comments, not care. It is what it is. I spoke with him. He said, nah, bro, that wasn't. He said, that wasn't. He told me on the plane. He came up. He was like, nah, bro, that wasn't at you. I see how they trying to spin. I'm like, oh, all right. I'm not tripping, regardless of whatever it was.
He's right to ignore most of it. Not every take deserves oxygen. There will always be bandwagon critics who pile on when things look rough and pivot the second momentum flips. The same voices throwing shots now will rush to celebrate him once he delivers. And you can bet Colin Cowherd will be near the front of that line. He's been all in on the skepticism around SHEDUER Sanders lately, using every opening to question him. Cowherd praised Kevin Stefanski for elevating Dylan Gabriel to quarterback 2 and sliding SHEDUER to 3rd, calling it the smart, low-risk move and proof of Stefanski's top-tier instincts. But it's hard to miss how quickly Cowherd writes SHEDUER off, as if he's eager to see a miss before the kid gets a fair runway. Cowherd didn't stop there. He mocked SHEDUER and his supporters, pointing out that several franchises were searching for starters and many more needed steady backups, and none chose him. He hammered the draft optics too. Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round versus SHEDUER in the 5th, framing that as the league's verdict. In his telling, the message is already settled. SHEDUER's backers may have shrugged at that before, but, as Cowherd puts it, the numbers make the case.
And many of us believe Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, is the one that nudged the front office into drafting him. So the Browns drafted Dylan Gabriel 2 rounds before. So you can run to your Reddit board and dogpound.com and say it's a conspiracy, but the whole league told you he's a 5th-round quarterback. And the Browns are telling you, Kevin Stefanski, who won 11 games in 2023 with nonsense in a division with the Ravens, in the AFC.
SHEDUER Sanders' time in Cleveland is turning into a story of resilience, focus, and quiet resolve. Even as the 3rd-string quarterback behind Dylan Gabriel, he hasn't let rankings or outside opinions throw him off course. From day one, he's kept his eyes on the bigger picture, steady growth, daily preparation, and being ready the second his opportunity arrives. Every critique is fuel, not a verdict, and he's using it to sharpen his game. His recent work on the field backs that up. Coming off injury, he settled in quickly and found his rhythm, capping practice with a pinpoint touchdown that stood out as the day's highlight. The timing, placement, and poise on that throw reflected the same confidence he's been preaching, reading the look, trusting his mechanics, and executing cleanly. It's the kind of rep that gets a coach's attention, earns teammates' trust, and makes skeptics pause. Sanders' maturity shows in how he handles chatter from teammates, rivals, and the media. Whether responding to Dylan Gabriel's comments or brushing off negative noise, he stays grounded, crediting faith and focus for keeping him steady. He knows the talk is part of the job, and he's committed to letting the film speak louder than any quote. Meanwhile, critics like Colin Cowherd have leaned into the doubts, pointing to draft status, Gabriel in the 3rd round, SHEDUER in the 5th, and the lack of immediate interest from teams as proof the league has already made up its mind. Sanders isn't letting that define him. He understands success isn't about early labels. It's about persistence, preparation, and performance when it counts. As he keeps stacking work and embracing each rep, it's clear he's preparing for the moment his potential becomes undeniable. The road may be tough, but his discipline and mindset suggest he's more than capable of rising above doubt and making his mark in the NFL. What's your read on SHEDUER Sanders' approach so far? Do you think his patience and focus will pay off once he gets real snaps? And how much do takes like Colin Cowherd's actually impact a young quarterback? Do they hinder, or do they add fuel?
So he says, this is exactly what he says. I'm told the footage of Shedeur Sanders meeting with the Giants is so bad that both the Browns and the Sanders family have threatened legal action if it is.
What in the NFL is happening right now? The New York Giants just leaked a draft interview recording with SHEDUER Sanders, and fans are completely freaking out. Did SHEDUER take some shots? Did the Giants forget what the word confidential means? Or did someone accidentally hit reply all on something that was supposed to stay locked away? Get ready, because this roller coaster involves hot mics, bad takes, and a whole lot of drama.
What happened with SHEDUER on draft night to make him fall to the 5th round, and them talking about the Giants coming out with all that information talking about SHEDUER did bad, bombed the interview, all that type stuff. We all know my last video when I talked about the interview tape about SHEDUER did not get a playbook.
The NY Giants, in true Stonewall fashion, dropped a carefully trimmed clip from their highly sought-after interview with SHEDUER Sanders, then quickly locked everything else away like it was top-secret intel. Was this a calculated PR stunt, or just a low-key attempt at sabotage? Either way, the silence speaks louder than any official statement. Fans aren't buying this half-baked version of transparency, and they're definitely not ready to just bench him and move on. Instead, they're demanding answers, calling out the organization for what feels like a planned smear job. One thing's for sure, the hate is loud, but SHEDUER's supporters are even louder.
There was another team that he sat down with.
What do you mean it didn't go well after that?
So he was pissed that they
did that to him.
They did that to him.
He counter-confronted
the
them.
same thing they do to every other quarterback prospect. They did that to him. They slide in a mistake to see if you catch it.
Right. And so
because you're the quarterback.
But he didn't take it as a correction. He took it as like he got pissed off.
Yeah, and it's like so here's another one. So another one was, he throws a bad interception, and it was a deep throw early in the game, and he comes back and they go in the meeting, they show the interception.
Let's just call it like it is. The Giants have perfected the tease. They've basically turned "we've got more, but we're not sharing it" into a comedy act, and the joke's on them. It's like they're standing center stage, booing themselves. Oh, you want more? Too bad. We're guarding it like Grandma's secret lasagna recipe. Congrats, Giants. You've officially become the talk of TikTok, X, and even Aunt Barbara's Facebook. Yep, the holy trinity of online outrage. This whole thing screams drama, screams petty, and definitely screams PR disaster in a fitted cap. Just release the full tape before fans start pulling up to headquarters with pitchforks. And popcorn.
GM is getting fired. The GM, who was that nigga that Jaden Daniels. The GM is on film that the nigga's son, the nigga asked his son last draft, yo, who you think I should pick? His son like, yo, you need to get the Jaden Daniels nigga, B. This is what his son, it's on tape. You should go Jaden Daniels. He laughing at his son. And all right, cool, get Jaden Daniels. I don't even know how that tape got out. I wouldn't have let the shit get out personally.
Meanwhile, SHEDUER, the latest poster boy for maybe the Giants don't like talent unless it's dressed in blue and red confetti, is soaking it all in like it's just another day at practice. And here's the best part of the irony. The Giants tried to label him as all hype, no substance, a paper tiger. But instead, they accidentally turned him into the hottest name being mentioned by every sports analyst out there. They tried to bury the story, but somehow ended up stamping it in bold. It's the classic case of ignoring a trending conversation for so long that sure, people get annoyed, but at the same time, they keep your name alive better than your own PR team ever could.
It's funny. New York Giants, where these tapes at? You hear me? Because if SHEDUER Sanders was so unprofessional, y'all would have leaked the tapes for the whole world could see, right? Because understand, it's a lot of he say, she say. But one thing I do know, as a young black man growing up in this world, being straightforward and not sugarcoat anything.
Oh, this narrative is pure gold. Giants PR completely skipped subtlety and went straight to the "we don't like his dad" playbook. A move so awkward, it's like trying to dunk and ending up in a kiddie pool. You can almost picture them brainstorming it. Yeah, we're just not fans of QB families that aren't ours. Because nothing screams professionalism quite like having zero self-awareness. And the fan reactions? Absolutely priceless. That one little clip was all it took to set the internet on fire. Keyboards everywhere started lighting up. People are asking, why hide the good stuff? What are you trying to cover up? If there's really nothing to hide, why not just drop the full thing? And spoiler alert, they weren't whispering. Social media exploded faster than a New York City grill on Memorial Day weekend.
Them out. Another moment. What they do during the film and the combine and the meetings is teams will install mistakes intentionally planted in the install, and they want you to catch them. SHEDUER didn't, and when a coach called him out, once again, it didn't sit well. It's like, bro, there's not many teams needing quarterbacks, especially since Pittsburgh appears to have a deal with Aaron Rodgers and Tennessee's getting Cam Ward. So you're down to the Giants, who are not in.
And that brings us to the next tasty slice of irony. By refusing to release the full interview, the New York Giants probably thought they were hurting SHEDUER Sanders' image. But instead, they ended up throwing gasoline on the hype train. Rather than shutting things down, they made him look like the kid who grabbed the last cookie and somehow got blamed for taking the whole jar. Only difference? This kid's got cameras on him 24/7, and he's handling the heat like a seasoned pro. Now, every move he makes is being broken down, every throw studied like it's a presidential debate. Fans are calling it what it is. They've lied on SHEDUER. Some say the Giants just don't like his dad, and honestly, that might be true. Maybe this whole thing was just a cheap shot at Deion Sanders by extension. But here's the plot twist. The harder they try to drag him down, the more interesting his story gets. The Giants accidentally turned SHEDUER into a walking headline, a controversy in cleats. They tried planting doubt, but all they really did was create buzz. He's no longer just a top draft pick. He's now a symbol of resilience, a narrative goldmine, and living proof that real talent doesn't fold under pressure. It levels up. And at this point, even if the Giants wanted to, there's no turning off the spotlight.
Okay, so probably the most fun yet the most difficult thing I cover and we cover all year long is not games. It's the NFL draft. Because I've said this many times, you get lied to for a month to 2 months up to it. And so often during the draft, and every few drafts, there's a guy that really falls, precipitously falls. This year it was SHEDUER Sanders, it's been Aaron Rodgers, it's been Dan Marino. Every few years somebody falls a lot. And so, but those stories don't come out until like the fall and after.
Let's not overlook the fact that the hate is so strong, you could bottle it up and sell it as radioactive cologne. You can practically watch it leaking out of Giants HQ like toxic sludge straight out of a bad superhero origin story. But here's the twist. Maybe that's their superpower. Maybe the New York Giants really believe they're cooking up some secret formula, a cocktail of manipulation and media spin. But here's the thing. Every bit of shade they throw at SHEDUER Sanders only makes his story bigger. Every time they try to box him in as some overhyped diva or question his character, they accidentally hand him another viral moment. And now, he's the underdog hero rising through the smoke. Let's be real. This isn't just about football anymore. This is about narratives, control, and how the establishment absolutely loses it when they're no longer holding the pen. And the real kicker? They still won't release the full interview. You've got NFL fans, media heads, and entire Reddit threads all chanting, "Drop the tape." Like it's some long-lost Beatles album. Meanwhile, the Giants are just sitting there, staring into the void like nobody saw this mess coming.
Now, I don't know if it ever gonna get leaked or not. The tapes, the New York Giants have the tape. They definitely have the tape. It's confirmation that they have the tape. SHEDUER didn't do nothing. It's what they saying he did. I'm gonna tell you what these mixed reaction right here. So we already know about the New York Giants, but the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin reported Miles Sanders' talent, but hesitated to draft him due to previous challenges with quarterbacks like Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, leading to more cautious approach. Las Vegas Raiders. Sanders met with Raiders at the NFL scouting combine and expressed enthusiasm about potentially joining the team. His familiarity with the West Coast offense and quick release was noted positive, though concerns about his ceiling.
Kevin Stefanski feels like his job may be on the line.
I don't concern myself with outside type of things, but I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better, and that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
And so you didn't get this man a fighting chance to compete. He went into a gunfight with 2 knives. He gonna lose that every time.
You know you're going to waive Tyler Huntley. So what good did that 2-minute drive do for him? Was it going to help him? Don't you think SHEDUER would have benefited more from a 2-minute drive than Tyler Huntley?
Coach Kevin Stefanski looks like he's backing off, and the heat is clearly on him and the Browns to make a call. After the game, several offensive linemen who'd been on the field with SHEDUER Sanders were waived, and a few players had their deals terminated. The blowback was immediate, forcing Stefanski to explain his handling of SHEDUER's snaps, especially why he pulled him before the 2-minute hurry-up, a situation many felt fit the rookie perfectly. Stefanski didn't sound convincing. Under obvious pressure, he said he put Tyler Snoop Huntley in for the final 2 minutes to get him tuned up. He looked rattled delivering it, still pushing the idea that Huntley needed that work. Let's be real, Huntley was an emergency pickup when injuries piled up. He's a stopgap, unlikely to stick on the 53, and yet Stefanski used that moment to sit SHEDUER. The message in his tone was hard to miss. He knows the choice isn't playing well, and the whole approach around SHEDUER Sanders is already blowing back on the staff. Before we go deeper into Stefanski's full comments and what they mean going forward, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more updates. As for the decision itself, the head coach's shaky explanation only highlighted how tense things have become. Framing the move as a tune-up for Huntley doesn't track with the stakes or with SHEDUER's development timeline. It looks less like a plan and more like a scramble, and it's starting to backfire.
And did you, I'm sure you kind of answered this last night, but why didn't you keep him in for the 2-minute, or why did you decide to take him out?
Yeah, nothing more than decided to give Snoop.
TJ Houshmandzadeh, the former NFL wideout, didn't mince words about Kevin Stefanski's handling of SHEDUER Sanders. He said that in all his years around the league, he's never seen a coach appear so uninterested in a player's success. To Houshmandzadeh, Stefanski's choices look personal, like there's a grudge against SHEDUER, and that's what he finds most troubling. TJ Houshmandzadeh called the bias blatant and cautioned that, if it's real, the push on the Browns to dismiss Kevin Stefanski will only intensify.
The fans gonna be saying, SHEDUER our quarterback. SHEDUER should be our starter. SHEDUER should be the guy that starts game 1, week 1. Look what he did. They didn't want that to happen. And I don't know what's going on with Kevin Stefanski. It's almost as if, and I don't even want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
And that's exactly how it came across. Kevin Stefanski's body language said plenty. He looked like a coach feeling the axe over his shoulder. TJ Houshmandzadeh added that this isn't the first time SHEDUER Sanders has been treated this way. He pointed to the opening preseason game, where SHEDUER was sharp, yet Stefanski offered no real praise. Now, after what unfolded yesterday, it looks like Stefanski is pushing the idea that SHEDUER was at fault, almost as if he's trying to validate the staff's stance that they were right and Sanders was wrong. TJ even suggested it felt like the situation was engineered from the start to make SHEDUER come up short.
Well, like when he played well the first game, he was so off-putting, like, oh yeah, well, we'll see what happens next. Like, he played great, man. He exceeded our expectations. He didn't say none of that. And so to me, it's as if they want him to fail so they can justify doing what they want to do.
And Houshmandzadeh's red holds up. From the very first preseason outing, Kevin Stefanski's slant felt apparent. Even after SHEDUER Sanders put together an impressive, mistake-free showing, Stefanski declined to highlight him, retreating to broad comments about developing all the quarterbacks and skimming past SHEDUER's standout work. It didn't come across as genuine buy-in on SHEDUER's future in Cleveland. Now the spotlight is squarely on Stefanski, who seemed intent on easing SHEDUER towards the margins. Ironically, the coach looks more vulnerable than the rookie. After weeks of rigid messaging and thin criticism, he's suddenly pivoting, saying they'll concentrate on developing SHEDUER Sanders. An about-face that screams pressure from the fan base. And it isn't only fans. Reporters and analysts are pressing him as well. Emmanuel Acho weighed in, arguing that by placing SHEDUER with an offensive group filled with players unlikely to make the 53, Stefanski engineered a no-win evaluation. Acho's point was straightforward. Even a quarterback with Tom Brady's resume would have struggled in that setup with that caliber of support. In those conditions, any rough patches for SHEDUER were predictable, an indictment of the context, not the quarterback.
What a COVID year, so he gave everybody an extra year if you wanted it.
Understandable. But listen, it's
What the chat say? The chat believe he took a shot or no?
Let me look in the chat. I need to open my phone. Hold on. I'm curious to see what the chat would think. They are saying
Hushman Zeta's take still holds. From the first preseason snap, Kevin Stefanski's slant felt obvious. Even after SHEDUER Sanders delivered a crisp, mistake-free showing, Stefanski sidestepped any real credit, defaulting to broad talk about developing all the quarterbacks and skating past SHEDUER's standout work. It didn't read like genuine buy-in on Sanders' future in Cleveland. Now the spotlight has swung to Stefanski, who looked intent on easing SHEDUER to the edges of the plan. Ironically, the coach seems more vulnerable than the rookie. After weeks of rigid messaging and thin critiques, he's suddenly pivoting, saying they'll focus on developing SHEDUER Sanders. A shift that screams fan pressure. And it isn't only the fan base. Reporters and analysts are pressing him too. Chad Okosinko weighed in, arguing that by sticking SHEDUER with an offensive group filled with fringe or soon-to-be-waived players, Stefanski set up a no-win evaluation. Ochocinco's point was straightforward. Even a quarterback of Tom Brady's caliber would have struggled in that environment with that level of support. In those circumstances, any rough patches for SHEDUER were predictable, an indictment of the setup, not the quarterback. Chad Ochocinco warned that the chorus of team-friendly critics would soon start branding SHEDUER Sanders a bust, reducing him to fifth-string status, and the real problem would get ignored. Kevin Stefanski put SHEDUER in a no-win setup. Despite growing backlash, Ochocinco argued this all looks like a coordinated effort to drag SHEDUER down, with more energy spent tearing him apart than acknowledging why he struggled. He was right about the setup, but wrong about the Browns skating by. Fans are loudly calling for Stefanski's job over what they view as clear bias towards SHEDUER Sanders, and that pressure is only intensifying. Skip Bayless also weighed in, blasting Cleveland's approach as the worst way to handle a young quarterback. He pointed to a recurring pattern. SHEDUER has been consistently mishandled by Stefanski and by the organization, and that this isn't a one-off misstep. In Bayless's view, Sanders hasn't been given a fair runway or the right support, and the way the team has managed him has only piled on the pressure, making it even harder for him to succeed.
I'm outraged, I'm sickened, and I'm saddened by the way SHEDUER continues to be treated in the National Football League. Now by those sorry-ass Browns and sorry-ass Kevin Stefanski.
Given how this has played out with SHEDUER Sanders, it's hard to escape the sense he was put behind the 8 ball from the start. When he made his first preseason start, Stephen A. Smith said the Browns were setting SHEDUER up to fail, and recent events only strengthen that take. Between the lack of meaningful first-team reps and a string of puzzling play calls, the context never looked built for growth. At this point, the pattern makes his setbacks feel less like natural growing pains and more like the product of an environment that was never set up for him to succeed.